All right, everyone. One more, one more sleep. It's the kind of thing you say before Christmas, isn't it? One more sleep till Christmas. One more sleep till your birthday. But that's what it is, right? One more night of wondering and thinking and stressing before it's game day, and we'll have all our answers. It's Arsenal versus Real Madrid. It's been a really, really long time since I've been genuinely excited about something in Arsenal season, about an occasion, a game, in fact, that held so much weight. And I think the reality is this season we haven't really had many or any of those. Certainly not with this weight. I mean, we haven't had Real Madrid rock up to North London since 2006. And it's a fixture that, do you know, I wasn't actually sure whether to do this live show. And then I thought, well, sometimes there doesn't always have to be something to talk about. There can just be something on your mind. And I think as we've kind of slowly built towards this game, it's kind of been dawning on everyone, right? These are the kind of nights we want to be a part of. Now, to be fair, in some way, you want to act like you belong, right? In some ways, you want to be like, all right, it's another football match. I mean, would other clubs be kind of talking about it with this much kind of what's the word, apprehension and excitement and everything? Because while it is royal, European royalty coming to the Emirates, it's also a side that our rivals would want to beat and have at times beaten. But obviously, we've been on this kind of journey from 2019 and this process, a word that some people love, some people hate, but it's got us to this point where, look, we really should have been in a position to win the title this season. We weren't. We haven't been. We haven't been good enough. But we've got this kind of Champions League quarterfinal, second quarterfinal in 2 years. I'm not saying that's any great achievement, but it's been a long time since we even sniffed the Champions League, let alone get to 2 quarterfinals in our first 2 years back. I think that's the bare minimum people would have expected of Arsenal. Came up against Bayern Munich last year, and it wasn't enough. We come up against Real Madrid this year, and we're not as good as last year's team. But this is what's kind of incredible about football. We're not as good as last year's team. You can argue Real Madrid are certainly better than the form that Bayern Munich were in last season when we played them. Of course, they lost the league to Bayer Leverkusen. They went trophyless in Harry Kane's first season. Yes, a little bit of a prod there. But all this kind of to say that football is just this really funny game where anything can kind of happen. I think it's what makes football the best sport in the world. Now, I know that the product, especially the Premier League, has been diluted. I know that there's so much football. I think we had 3 major tournaments in the space of 4 years. Well, that's normal. In the space of 3 years, sorry. Maybe even 2.5. We had, we've had this kind of new Club World Cup come in. There've been kind of more games. Obviously, they've added games to the Champions League as well. And there's kind of been this relentless churn of football. But what makes it such a special game, the reason we keep tuning in to watch the game, the reason we keep every season rocking up, is because I think it's got an ability more than any other sport to just deliver surprises. Because in its simplest form, it's about who puts the ball in the back of the net the most. There's no, you can have all the possession in the world, you can have all the shots, you can dominate, you can play the game so much better than your opposition and still lose. And I don't know how many sports that's true in. I mean, in F1, something crazy can happen, and that's kind of the magic of that. But I'm a big tennis fan, a really big tennis fan. The better player on the day tends to win. That's not always true. I'm also a big Roger Federer fan. I've seen him lose finals at Wimbledon that I felt he deserved to win. But that's kind of what makes football really special. That Arsenal are going into this a shadow of the team they were last year, with real questions around what their best 11 for this game is, with real, with key players missing, with a focal point up front, and probably our best defender, one of the best centre backs in the world, missing too, and yet football kind of makes you feel like you've always got a bit of a chance. Now, it's also worth saying we are a good football team. We are. This season we haven't shown it, but we are still a good team. We've shown that over numerous years, and even what's been a really bad season for us by the standards we expected, we've still got, we're still second in the table. And look, that I'm not saying that's anything to be proud of. It's absolutely not for where we wanted to be, not for how much better Liverpool have been, spending less money in the window, brand new manager, and look what they've gone and done. However, like I said, we've sort of got to this level of team where kind of our worst has a flaw, which I think is quite encouraging. I think once upon a time, Arsenal, even going back a couple of years ago, you felt their worst was significantly worse than this. I mean, for such a bad campaign we've had, it's only 3 defeats. It's that we haven't had the quality to overturn those draws and put more points and more wins on the board. But again, this really is a copium live stream, people. But again, the beauty of football is that sometimes you don't have to win. In knockout football, you don't have to win. I'm the king of celebrating draws, right? But in all seriousness, 2-0 and a penalty shootout win, I'll be on cloud nine. I just think the reason I think people are feeling excited, apprehensive, not just because it's Real Madrid coming to town, but because as bad as the season's gone, there's always this kind of hope and feeling we might win, like something could happen. Then you take into account Real Madrid's issues at the back. They've been conceding goals. They're not having quite the campaign they would have wanted. There's some questions over Ancelotti, whether he's going to be there long term. And, some might say that's just the standards of Real Madrid. They literally won the Champions League, 9-10 months ago. But, it's not going perfectly for them. They're not perfect. So how can Arsenal exploit that in any way? I'll chat about that a little bit. We're going to get the tactical pad out. If you catch my live stream I did on AFTV the other night, I think it was on Sunday. Yeah, it must have been yesterday. We had the tactical pad out, and we talked about some stuff, more building the 11 that the live viewers on AFTV wanted to see. What I want to do here is give you, sorry, my voice only went. What I want to do here is give you the 11 that is being predicted by Madrid Extra and Marca for their 11 to go out against Arsenal. And then I want to give you my 11, which I did on a video post Everton. But then I want to get all your thoughts, and I want to just kind of indulge in the tactical side a little bit. What do we have to see from Arsenal? How are we going to hurt Real Madrid? And also actually talk about the legitimate possibilities in which we can, I don't know, make it an uncomfortable day for them. And we'll go through your comments first. We'll go through your comments and say hi to you all, because this is a live stream. Razor, it's good to see you in the comments. Rishi says, believe. Absolutely. You've got to. He's a neutral, but yeah, good. He's a Man City fan as well, but fair enough. Appreciate you tuning in. T says, hello, little one. Thank you. What's been encouraging is the nerves energy from Real Madrid circles. They're apprehensive. We're so back. Maybe. Francisco says, I'm so excited for the game tomorrow, James. I really believe we can pull an upset, even though we lack in some parts on the pitches. I'm praying. Come on, you Gunners. This game is all I can think about. That's literally why I went live. I've had a really busy day. I went, do you know what I did? My friend took me spinning. Have any of you, let me know in the comments if you've been spinning. You know, that like cycling sport thing. Oh, I thought, I've never done it before. I thought, yeah, nice, chill, little cycle. I'm sure. Oh, wait, they're trying to kill you. I mean, that's no joke. So anyway, I'm feeling a bit sore, and I had some food, and I was like, you know what? This is all I can think about. And I just think I just need to kind of get it off my chest. Last thing I do before I go to bed. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Nathan, this game is also all I can think about. You come into the live stream, you say some nice things, then tell us our season ends tomorrow. Come on. We got a chance. Ahmad says, more copium to listen. Absolutely. This is it. This is a pure copium live stream. Let's go, James. We can do it. Says DJ064. I like this from Schlock, and also something that Alex said in his most recent different knock video. Got to play the team, not the bad. There are 11 footballers in a system with glaring weaknesses. We need to exploit them. If we go in thinking it's a 15 Champions League versus 0 Champions League, we lost the match before it started. I totally agree. Max, my guy, it's good to see you, and thank you for pulling out the thumbnail last minute for this. What's being said there about you play the team, not the badge and the crest and kind of everything that all the names we've been attaching to Real Madrid, the European royalty, all these things. Forda, I was about to make a point, but you've just said it in this comment. Let me read this. He said, I'm excited, mate. Saka's self-belief shown in his interview has changed my mindset. He obviously sees himself on Vinicius and Mbappe's levels, as would others like Saliba. Bring it on. This is exactly what I was going to come on to say. I was already excited, but I've kind of been inspired by the way Saka answered that question. I don't know if you caught it, but he basically was asked, how far do you think you are from Vinicius and Mbappe? And he basically, as politely as he could, but you could tell it wound him up a little bit. He basically said, I'm not going to compare players because that's not how I think. This isn't how I look at myself. And I think without saying it, he was basically saying, listen, I'm going to show you I'm on these guys' level. Now, you don't have to believe it. I don't care how many trolls are in the comments saying, lol, that's hilarious. Saka's not won anything. He thinks he's, on par with Mbappe and Ballon d'Or chasing Vinicius and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It's about the belief you exude. You carry that onto the pitch and you set that tone. Others might rise with you. And Saka is a leader in the way he drives this Arsenal team. Does he always shout and scream and make that big challenge like an old school captain? No, maybe not. But I think the other players will feed off what Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice, William Saliba, I want to say David Raya, what these guys do to set the tone for Arsenal will be huge. And I think Saka might not even have meant to, but he delivered a brilliant answer to that. And it, I think, has just injected a little something into Arsenal fans. Because Arteta was more, I didn't catch his whole press conference, but Arteta was more inspiring from the perspective of, we need you. And we're, you're not just there to watch the game, you're there to play the game with us. And again, it was nice words, but I thought Saka, again, the way he delivered it, there was something like, yeah, like we belong. That's why I also said, like, even though we're kind of here, like it's Real Madrid, look at the title of this live stream now, and me going, we can do it. I know it all feels a bit like, climbing to the highest mountain, the highest tops, and doing something extraordinary. But again, it's 11 other footballers. And a lot of our players will believe that they belong on the pitch with them. Go and show it. And Arteta will absolutely believe that he belongs in these, as a manager, he belongs in these conversations and these nights and these moments. Go and show it, Mikel. Go and show it, Arsenal. I needed this. Well, I'm really glad we are here live. Hope you're enjoying the live stream. In the words of Jordan and Robbie, believe. And look, loads of comments from you, man. A big thank you to everyone. Let's talk tactics a little bit. So this was the tweet that I came across, just so you'll know what I'm using. Expect 11: Courtois, Valverde, Asensio, Rudiger, either Fran Garcia or Alaba left back. I'm making the decision. I think it's going to be Alaba. Modric, Camavinga, Bellingham as the midfield three, with Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius. So all a bunch of mugs. No one I really rate there. What a team. And apparently they've got Tchouaméni, Ceballos, who else? Carvajal, so there's loads of players they're missing. Now they've always got Mendy. Courtois could be missing for tomorrow. That's also worth knowing. But all these players missing, and look at the 11 they could put out. So it leads me nicely on to this. Bear with me, uno momento. All right, can you see this, everyone? Yeah, you can. Right. On the left, we have my 11. On the right, we have that Real Madrid predicted 11 I gave you. So apologies, I'm going to come back to the comments in just a sec, but I will actually just scan to make sure you can all see this. I believe you all can. Right. Again, a slight repetition from what I was saying on the live stream of the AFTV, but again, that was kind of more looking at what the fans wanted, what they voted for. It happened to be the 11 I wanted, though. A lot of people were talking about this position, Marino and Trossard. Now, I would give Trossard the start, but I'll talk about why in a sec. What I'm expecting from Real Madrid, honestly, is something a little like this. I sort of expect them to get into a little bit of a 4-4-2 off the ball. I think Bellingham will come across to help, especially if Saka's playing across there. I think Rodrigo will drop deep, and you'll have Mbappe and Vinicius almost a little more like this. This wouldn't surprise me at all if out of possession they look a bit like that. I don't think they're going to ask these two to track back loads. I think a 4-4-2 out of possession shape is very standard practice for most managers these days. I think it also means that you're going to have Camavinga next to Modric a little bit more and slightly slighter as a two rather than one just sitting as a six, trying to sort of defend the pockets together. Basically, I don't think they're going to do this out of possession. I don't think we're going to see this from Real Madrid. that would show us a lot of respect. I don't think they'll do that. And also, I think it negates one of their biggest assets, which is their power and pace on the counter attack. So I think out of possession, they'll look a little something like this. And in fact, let's move it all out the pitch and imagine that we've got Arsenal playing. Apologies, it takes a little second to just drag every player up. Right, bam, nearly there. Cool. And like I said, I think Alaba will get the start left back. So I think they will go for this sort of, these blocks here. And I think they will concede possession, guys. I really think they will. On a tactical insight I did with Nick, one of the things we talked about was the fact that if you look at a lot of the big games they've played, in fact, I think I can find it in front of me. Real Madrid, here we go. If you look at a lot of the big games they've played, this season, away at Sociedad, 48% of the ball. Away at Man City, 45% of the ball. Barca in the Super Cup, 48% of the ball. Away at Atalanta, 43% of the ball. Away at Liverpool, 37% of the ball. Away at Atletico Madrid early in the season in the league, 49% of the ball. And then Man City away last season, 32% of the ball. They went through the 1-1. Liverpool in the Champions League final, they won 1-0, 46% of the ball. They are a team that are happy to concede possession. I use the word humble on a preview on AFTV. I don't quite mean humble. I just mean, I think they respect the opposition, but not in like a, oh, you guys are really good, so we're going to, try. I think they just acknowledge, what the other team's strengths are, and they can, play to hurt them, if in a way that might concede what Madrid's greatest strengths are. Now, look, they will get on there will be a 10-20 minute period where they have the ball and Arsenal are sitting deep. There's no question. They're not going to sit here and just like go, oh no, attack us and we'll hope we get a draw. We'll hope we just hit on the counter. They're not here to play bad football. I just mean, I think largely over the 90, they will concede more possession to Arsenal, but not massively. I think it also depends on how the goals go. Right? I think if Arsenal do something crazy like race into an early lead, 2-0 up inside 15 minutes, strange things have happened in football, then I think then you're going to find they will get on the ball. If you look at Atletico Madrid, they actually had more possession at Madrid, but Gallagher scored in the first minute. From that point, Madrid are chasing. That was in the Champions League time. So back to this. That's what I expect of them out of possession. Now we're going to go into what I want to see in possession. And you're going to have Martinelli, Trossard, Saka. You're going to have Rice and Erdegaard in these pockets, or are you? That's going to be my next question. Partey and Lewis Skelly trying to get in behind Mbappe and Vinicius and make sure there's some passing lanes. Now, I've very purposely gone for White as the left centre-back. We'll touch on that in a second. First thing I want to talk about with this shape is, should we give him a football? Let's give him a football. Boom. Right. First thing we'll talk about with this shape, I actually think we're going to see more of this. I just put Arsenal in the shape that you're kind of used to seeing. I think we're going to have more on this because I think we're going to want Rice to clean up in this area and help Partey, even when we're in possession. I think we're going to want to be ready for their transitions. We're going to be ready for when we lose the ball. And I think we're going to have Rice closer to Partey for that very reason. And again, I said it on the live stream yesterday, so apologies for the repetition, but that is a nice settled block for when we are trying to also play. Oh, I just knew that was going to happen. Boom. For when we are also trying to play through them. Okay. So I think that's the first thing. I think there will be a tweak to have Rice close to Partey. The other reason I think this is we didn't do this last season against Bayern Munich, which you did have Rice in this area, which was really strange because I think Jorginho started that. So we basically had Rice powering ahead quite a bit, and then Erdegaard was dropping in. I think we need to leave Erdegaard in these pockets. I don't think we should be worrying too much about him getting into these areas to get the ball. No, Arsenal will always be flexible. Arsenal will always play a range of different kind of systems and formations. What's Arteta said before, right? That 64 formations in a game, he said. And I get it. I get what he's trying to say. But largely, I just think Rice will stay that little bit close to Lewis Skelly. Also because you've got 5 brilliant technicians here who can all try and hurt Real Madrid in some way. That is a physical back four. I'm not so sure about Asensio. I haven't watched him much, but Rudiger is going to pose himself physically. Valverde is a machine. Alaba as well. We know he's a centre back / left back. I don't think there's any point trying to play over the top. I don't think there's any point trying to demolish them from crosses, from set pieces. I think we can have some joy. But the reason we go for Marino is because I think we want to get Trossard in these pockets. I think we can play some football around them. I might be delusional, but I think we could. I'm no expert on Real Madrid, just from the bits I've watched over the years. That this is kind of my impression of them. So, is this going to let me get rid of? There we go. Cool. The other thing is, there's a very real chance that Vazquez starts right back, and that imagine Modric is Vazquez for a sec, and that they actually go for this out of possession. But I think he's going to go for Valverde. You get Modric's class and experience on the pitch. He's still a class player, even at however old he is. It's unbelievable. But also, I think they're going to want those battles. And this is also why I think Alaba is going to start ahead of Fran Garcia. I think whilst they're not going to, draw everyone back, like Vinicius and Mbappe, everyone to try and stop Arsenal's threats, because let's face it, Arsenal haven't been a massive threat on the ball all season. I do think they're going to go for some of their better actual defenders and most physical players. Valverde is a machine, absolutely class player. Also can whip in a fantastic ball. And I think on the overlap is something Arsenal are going to have to really pay attention to. Another reason why Martinelli is going to need to have a huge game, because as much as Valverde and that battle to stop him is going to be interesting, I think we are going to see Martinelli dropping back a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a sec. The other thing, I mentioned Alaba. Was there anything else I wanted to mention? No, not so much. I think, there was another thing. I think Lewis Skelly, while I talked about him getting in this pocket, I think we might see a little bit of this, which we saw towards the end of last season, almost more of a 4-2-4. Again, another reason why I think Rice will stay a little bit closer to Partey, and I think we'll have them just trying to stretch that pitch. Because if Real Madrid don't ask these two to work back massively, then you're stretching their 4-4-2. And then that's when the likes of Erdegaard, the likes of Trossard might pick up the ball in space. I'm not explaining all this from the position of like being some Real Madrid expert, having watched them loads. I haven't. I've watched a bit of them. I know, but I've watched a lot of Arsenal. I've really looked at what they've tried to do tactically over the years. I don't do it half as well as so many others here on YouTube, but this is just kind of what my inkling as to how Arsenal try and approach it. Also, because I think there's that nice balance between we can try play through them. We've got technicians on the pitch, but we've also got a kind of nice base there. I can imagine us trying to play through. Yeah, you lose the ball, but you're very kind of quickly set, ready to go. Like I can see Arsenal wanting to strike that balance, but trying to have a real go at the same time. I'll talk about us defensively off the ball in just a sec, but I want to get your comments. See what you guys think is going to happen. So, Camavinga, Bellingham, Rudiger surrounding Erdegaard. But hey, like I've seen Erdegaard make fantastic players look silly. So let's see. Alaba ain't that guy anymore, but he's not bad at all. Fine, but experience and players can raise it on the big stage, can't they? Madrid fans don't rate Alaba apparently. Jimbo thinks Marino needs to start as a striker in this game. James playing Sabutio, yeah, sure, why not? What else have we got? Rice in the pockets, yeah, exactly. I don't want to see that either. Double pivot, Partey, Rice. I think we will see quite a bit of that, as I've illustrated there. I agree. Dave says Real Madrid can see possession because they're a poorly coached side. Dave, you ask a really interesting question. Are they a poorly coached side that rely on their individual quality? I just don't think a team that won this many Champions Leagues can be seen as, Ancelotti doesn't just rock up, do the eyebrow, and sort of the players suddenly play brilliantly. Yes, they've got tremendous quality, sure, and maybe they're not coached in, juego de posición or whatever it's bloody called, to the top 1% and all that. Maybe they're not perfect in that way, but they are coached to A, bloody believe in themselves, B, have a serious standard for the football they should be playing, and C, to get actually some of their best players in key positions. So they are coached well. It's just not in the way that kind of a lot of the modern managers are doing. But I don't think we can say they're, conceding possession to Man City at the Etihad last season, drawing 1-1, having that threat on the counter, you're coached well if you're doing that, in my opinion. That's just me. What else have we got? Tom says Real have the quality, but the attacking players don't work as hard as ours defensively. And maybe we're going to have to outrun them. Maybe we're going to have to bully them in some way. Maybe we're going to have to, it's not the football could be won in many ways, and maybe it's going to have to be the energy, the fight, just the pure want. I like this question, but I've lost. Right, here we go. White left centre back. I think Saliba would be better there. He plays front. Yeah, absolutely. So let's bring this back on. So the reason I've gone for White left centre back is because of what I was just saying here, that I think will actually play with kind of a 4-2-4 build up a lot. So I don't think having the left-footed left centre back is that important. I also don't want to move. I don't want to move Saliba from this position. I think he's been comfortable. He's been playing there. I know he's played there for France, but I'd rather have one kind of new player in a new role rather than two, if that makes sense, as comfortable as Saliba might or might not be. But look, this doesn't disappoint me. I'd have absolutely no problem with this, but I would just prefer this also because I think White's slightly better on the ball. So when we are trying to progress possession and we're kind of in this shape and Lewis Skelly's moving forward and Trossard's making runs in behind, you give this ball to Ben White. I just think, I don't know, his long balls over the top, his balls through the line to Lewis Skelly. I think he'll find the odd ball over the top to Martinelli, albeit with his right foot. His switch of play, I could see him pinging a ball out to Saka. He's got a really, really good range of passing, better than Saliba, I think, in wider areas, where I don't think Madrid will be as in a rush to press. I don't think Mbappe and Rodrigo, maybe Modric there too, because if it is Camavinga, then I expect him to play on the right side of Camavinga. I actually don't think they will be absolutely sprinting to, just really get on Ben White. And I think there's a chance that we could either into Rice, either straight into Lewis Skelly, either we get in some pockets. Could we even see Martinelli getting into this position, dragging Valverde in, and then Lewis Skelly on the overlap? I just think the combinations are nicer with Ben White on that side. It's not ideal. It's really, really not. But yeah, that's what I do. Final thing I want to touch on super quickly, just us out of possession. So another thing that gets really, really underrated about Mikel Arteta, underrated is not the word, really forgotten about when it comes to Mikel Arteta, is his willingness to actually go to back three. And I think Arsenal will at times play like this. Hold on. Give me a second. Boom. So now I'll talk while I just get the Real Madrid players in place. But I think there's a very, very real chance that we see something like this from Arsenal. And I think it's for two reasons. A, because he's done it before, but B, because I just think it's kind of circumstantial with the players they've got on the pitch. I think Bellingham will kind of play in these kind of pockets and get on the front line. And I think that, I don't know what Madrid's shape is, but I'm making something up. But the point is, I think Arsenal could well have this kind of back five. I really think they do. Saka has on many occasions dropped into that wing back position. He's done it. Remember, he's done it away at Stamford Bridge. He's done it away at the Etihad. I think he's done it at Anfield. This guy has put in the shift to make it a back five. And what that allows you to do is not worry too much about the press, because I think sometimes a two-man press, or certainly when you're a low block, a two-man front line for your defence, I think is a little bit unnecessary. And I could so see Arsenal, especially if there's a lead to protect, getting into this kind of shape. We are no strangers to a back five. And I think that kind of makes the back three even kind of make a little bit more sense. I think Skelly's going to have a job looking after these two, because Valverde will come powering through. I think that's why the other way this could look is something like this. White coming across, Lewis Skelly tucking in, and Martinelli will be tracking these runs. Every chance if Rodrigo is hanging wide and Valverde is making these darting runs, that Martinelli is going to have to follow him. But Partey and Rice will stick close together, and I expect Trossard to drift out here every now and again to help defend. But Arsenal have to be very flexible defensively. I've said this before in a video. We are tactically so fluid in our formations and our movement of positions when we're attacking, but no one ever really talks about defensively. Our fluidity and our movement and the positions we pick up defensively is, in my opinion, second to none. I don't think anyone has a shape and a movement of player personnel to retain a shape quite like Arsenal. I think it's an incredibly unique thing we do defensively. I've not seen another team do it. In fact, there was a quote from Sander Berger. If I can find this in 1 minute, I'm going to show it to you. Give me 1 second. If I can find this, it's a great quote. We beat Fulham the other day, right? We just beat Liverpool. Yeah, here we go. I love this quote. I found it. Stop sharing. Right, present, share screen. Boom. This is the one. Okay. Ignore that he's talking. So Sonderberger about playing against Arsenal, he says it's like someone's remote controlling them from row 50 when they're defending off the ball in their 4-4-2. Every single player covers all the right spaces. Impossible to create an overload. And honestly, I did a video on this. I think it was on Tactical Insight on AFTV. It's a massive, massive strength of ours and something we can't look beyond being something we're going to try do against Real Madrid. I think we'll absolutely try to be flexible in this way. All right, we've got a super chat. Jordan says, been watching your channel since day one. Appreciate it. A big, big thank you. Well, I hope you are tuned in to the Goonerverse too then. Let me quickly show you it. This channel here, I haven't had any kind of news to talk about actually recently, but if I just show you this, boom. Here you go. Subscribe to the Goonerverse 2, people. We are just covering sort of instant reaction news wherever I am, as and when it happens. A little bit transfer stuff, as you can see, but a lot of it just news that's kind of not quite confirmed. But rumors are doing the rounds, reports are doing the rounds. We'll talk about it on this channel. So everyone, actually, you know what? You can do me a massive favor if you head over. It's on this. You'll find on the homepage of the Goonerverse as well. If you head over and subscribe to the Goonerverse too, I'd really, really appreciate it. And yeah, that's where you get my instant reaction to things. All things Arsenal news. So a big, big thank you, everyone. And we'll end on this. Max, I've seen your comment. Believe. Absolutely. Max, a big thank you for putting the links in the comments. Yes, I did see Rafael was linked. It was a very loose link. It was just like Arsenal like Rafael. That was kind of it. I've seen a few comments very quickly. People asking, where's Sharoy? Guys, Sharoy and I really encourage you to go watch the video I did with Alex from the Different Knock. I spoke about everything there. Miss Sharoy dearly. Can't wait for him to return. He's just got a lot going on right now. And you know, and I did pre-Christmas, and that was why the podcast was gone for so long. Sharoy's still kind of, it's an ongoing situation for him. So I'm going to address that because a lot of you were asking. But yeah, we wish him all the best. And I'm super excited to have him back when he is ready to return. I have no doubt he'll be tuning into this game as well. Everyone, big thank you for watching the live stream. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, it's Real Madrid.